Hello everyone, back again. Today I'm going to talk about action will be taken from New Direction book chapter 5 under the theme additional reading 3 theme work. Action will be taken is a short story written by Nobel Prize laureate German writer Heinrich Boll. The story belongs to the genre of satire. The narrator told the story of his working in Alfred Wunsiedel's factory. He started He started the story with the statement that by nature I am inclined more to pensiveness and inactivity than to work. But as it appeared, he was the only one who understood the tragedy of being there. The slogan, action will be taken, was used by the characters of story everywhere. They used to show for the public their loyalty to the specific social values. The narrator accepted it. Action will be taken centers on unsensual work experience of a so-called worker. He is forced to work, though when financial difficulties arise. On one of those occasions, he applies to Winston's factories. The application includes a breakfast where he just drank orange juice and chewed some toast to look like a man who knew he was taking valuable elements and several questions that focused on his work ethics. He lied on all of them, deceiving himself as a hard worker that needs to be in the mix of things at all times. He got the job with 9 telephones while he didn't feel like he was working to his capacity. For several weeks, he operated the telephones, saying into them variations of the phrase, action must be taken. Every day, Wunsiedel would visit his secretary with the cry, let's have some action, and would be replied by, action will be taken. Then he would repeat the same ritual in every department. In the last part of the story, when the owner of the factory, Wunsiedel, declared, let's have some action, the narrator delayed with an answer. This is what happened next. Wunsiedel, who seldom raised his voice, shouted at him, answer, answer, you know the rules. And he answered under his breath, reluctantly, like a child who is forced to say, I am a naughty child. It was only by a great effort that he managed to bring out the sentence, action will be taken. And hardly had he uttered it when there was really some action. Wonsidel dropped to the floor and rolled to his side. While falling, he laid right across the open doorway. The narrator immediately called Brusek, who was the right hand man of Wunsiedel. It was late. Wunsiedel was already dead. The narrator participated in his funeral as a mourner, delegated to carry a wreath of artificial roses behind his coffin, where he was seen by the funeral director and was impressed by his talent that he offered him a job as a professional mourner. The narrator immediately resigned from his present job, giving a letter to Brustek and became mourner, and mourning became his new job when he instantly knew that this was where he belonged. The narrator realizes at last that Winslows' factory sold soaps. The story gives a good subject for discussion about the social problems and attitude of the individual for life, and so on. The ability of the author to present a plot with great sense of humor added motivation to read it. The writer as a whole, the writing as a whole is an anecdotal experience of the narrator and is aimed towards the employers and employees of today's world. It is a satire to the modern day working nature of workers and employers. A satire is a literary work holding up human vices and follies to ridicule or scorn. Satiric work can be Satiric work can be in Aesop's animal fables and in Greek dramas such as Aristophanes. It wasn't formally introduced as an aspect of writing until German Roman poetry, though. Satires vary in severity from a simple verse to Orwell's classic assault on communism, Animal Farm. In action will be taken, Heinrich Boll puts forth a mild mockery of the workforce. The satire becomes apparent when you observe the actions of the characters. Throughout the story, there is actually only one real action, and that was unintentional. The narrator was depicted as lazy and untruthful. He is constantly attempting to find variation of the phrase action will be taken. The story motivates workers to choose the job which they find the most comfortable and best to their capacity. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to my channel.
Hello, my name is Biplove Hamal, and today I am here to present a short video presentation on the additional reading tree. Action will be taken of the Unit 5 work based on the writer's technique tone. This story is written by the Heinrich Boll. In this satirical and humorous story, the writer tries to show the hypocrisy prevalent in the German society. He satirically presents the German culture which stresses the value of action, hard work, and seriousness, when in reality, German can largely remain inactive and unproductive. In the beginning of the story, the narrator, who is the main character, expresses the fact that he is inclined more to pensiveness, that is the serious thought, and inactivity than to work. He is forced to work through when his financial difficulties arise. On one of these occasions, he applied to Winsiedel's factory, which manufactures the soap in the Germany. The application includes a breakfast and several questions that focus on his work ethics. He relies on all of them, depicting himself as a hard worker that needs to be mix of the things at all times. For several weeks, he operates telephones, saying into them variation of phrase action will be taken. He repeatedly heard his boss saying one slogan, let's have some action, and his employee saying action will be taken. Within a week, he had increased the number of the telephone on his desk to 11, within 2 weeks to 13, and every morning on the streetcar, he enjoyed thinking of new imperatives or chasing the words taken action throughout various tenses and modulation. For 2 whole days, he keeps saying the same sentence over and over again because he thought it sounded so marvelous. Such action ought to be taken. So he was really beginning to feel he was working to capacity when there actually was some action. On Tuesday morning, he had hardly settled down at his desk. Monsieur rushed into his office, crying his lips have some action. But an but an inexpressible something in his face made me hesitant to reply. In a cheerful, gay voice, as a rule dictated, action will be taken. He must have paused too long for Wunsiedel, who seldom raised his voice, shouted at me, answer, answer. You know the rules. And I answer under my breath reluctantly like a child who is forced to say I am a naughty child. It was only by a great effort that I managed to bring out the sentence. Action will be taken, and hardly had I uttered it when there really was some action. One day, the boss shouted at me for not obeying the rules, and he dies of a heart attack. And the action was taken. Winston was buried, and he was delegated to carry a wreath of artificial roses behind the coffin, for I am equipped with only a penchant for persiveness and inactivity, but also a face and figure that go extremely well with a dark suit. Apparently, as he walked along behind the Winston's coffin carrying the wreath of artificial roses, he looked superb. He received an offer from a fashionable firm of funeral directors to join their staff as a professional mourner. He handed a notice to Brosek that he never felt he was walking into a capacity there, and as a professional appearance as a mourner, he knew he belonged to there. He often visits Wilshire's grave, for after all he owed it to him that he discovered his true vocation, a vocation in which pensiveness is essential and inactivity is his duty.